It's time to shake out your money-making truth. You're listening to Soul Wisdom Abundance with Jennifer Bloom, creating wealth from spiritual health on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Have you ever wondered why some people work really hard for their money while others live lives of joy and abundance with seemingly little effort? You are about to learn powerful, tangible steps to shifting your mindset and connecting to your flow of money and abundance. Jennifer teaches you to connect to who you are at a soul level and how to use that connection to create a personal and specific relationship with money. Learn how money is a powerful tool to achieve your desires and your desires to then serve the world. So shake out your money-making truth right now. Soul Wisdom Abundance with Jennifer Bloom.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Soul Wisdom Abundance, Create Wealth Through Spiritual Health. I am your host, Jennifer Bloom. And as always, I am overjoyed to be sharing space with all of you today, whether you are here listening for the first time or whether you've been listening in for a while. We've got a really lovely show today that I'm anxious to tell you about. But before I do that, let me just give you just a general overview, right? This podcast is about doing money in a new way. We tend to look at money, create money out of fear or our old patterns, our old experiences, or within what I like to think of as sort of the old money game, which isn't so old, unfortunately. It's still very present here on the planet, but we get very intertwined in it. And when we do that, it doesn't usually end very well. We tend to go up and down with money. Money comes, money goes in ways that we don't want it to. But the podcast here is really about helping you shift into doing it in a more conscious way. I really like the idea of leaning on the soul money relationship, that we are able to understand our relationship with money at that level. We're now able to create from a very aligned, very conscious, very connected place. And that really tends to lead to lasting abundance, lasting peace. So that's, if you want to know more about the soul money relationship, just in general, I'm going to invite you to come to my website. At the very top of the page, there's a soul money relationship quiz that you can take, and I'll teach you a little bit about the 3 different components of the relationship, and you'll learn which one of the components you might want to take a look at, give a little bit more love to create a more balanced relationship. And, you know, the word relationship is actually really important for our conversation today. I don't think most of us realize all the different layers that go into why we do things the way that we do, why we create money the way that we create. And when we can start to understand that we are actually in relationship with money, we start to get a few ahas. And the reason, one of the reasons, there's lots of reasons, but one of the main reasons I think why that is because we have a lot of rules in the background that we're not aware of. And a lot of them come out of this old money game that I was speaking about just a moment ago, right? Because the old money game says, in order to have money, you have to work really hard and you have to earn it, you know, nose to the grindstone, lots of pain, and whatever you've earned is what you are worth. It's not the money in the bank account, but it's that work that you've put in. Have you earned it? And if there isn't enough, then you're not good enough. And you have to use these external measures to be able to know whether you're good enough or not. What have you created? Is that good enough? And the thing is, as we build up these rules, those, again, they're unconscious, they're behind the scenes. But when we kind of walk in and say, hey, I want time, I want freedom, and I want money to support me in that way, we actually end up, it's almost as if we're breaking those rules. And our nervous system doesn't like it when we break rules. We end up feeling anxious, nervous. And we just, you know, it's like, why do I want this so badly? But it's not happening, right? Literally, our systems are not allowing us to step into the new behaviors that we want because, again, it is so uncomfortable. So as we take a step back and we lean into this understanding that we're in relationship with money, and as we step in and we gain a really intimate understanding of those pieces, an intimate understanding of who we really are, and our intimate relationship with the divine and our intimate relationship with the actual energy of money, now we have a way we're laying a groundwork. We get to put new rules in. We get to say, this is the way that I want to do things moving forward. So it's a very powerful realization when we begin to look at something when we begin to look at money from this basis of relationship. And the other aspect that's important to talk about today is that when we're not as understanding of our relationship, we can end up creating some things that we thought we wanted, but we really didn't want. And that can get us in a whole heap of trouble. And, this is a really great place for me to introduce my guest because she has a lot to say about this. So let me introduce you to Nichole Carlson. Nichole, welcome. So glad that you're here.
Thank you so much for having me, Jennifer. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, wonderful. I've been looking forward to our conversation. So let me give you Nichole's bio here. A lot of times I don't read the bios word for word, but I think this one is important to do it this way. So Nichole had the American dream, but she was miserable. She woke up one day and got a divorce, sold her house, quit her job, sold her car an hour later, got a one-way ticket out of the country. And because of her money mindset, actually ended up homeless. And then after some shifts, which I know that she'll talk about, was able to come back to her coaching business. And then there was a lot of chronic pain. And through the process of working through that emotional trauma, was able to get into a place where she was able to manifest what she really wanted. So Nichole, again, welcome. Glad you're here and looking forward to hearing more.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. I know that so many of your listeners will resonate with this because no matter where we've been in our journey, we know that money won't make us happy. And then we get to, to start building our empire, creating our life, and we start making money. And making money is so fun. It gives you this high where you're like, okay, I'm signing clients, I'm making money, I'm going where I want to go. And in my 20s, I didn't have any idea of, building my own business. I loved the fact that I was making money and I had all the things. I had the house, the husband, I was making money. But here's the thing that people don't really talk about because it's not okay. Because if you're successful and you have it all, if you are not connected to your soul, and it doesn't mean that you're doing corporate or you're doing the wrong work. You could be doing your soul's purpose, but you lose that connection to your soul and you start to feel like, disconnected from money, disconnected from your partner, disconnected from yourself. And you go into this, you go into all your days where you just feel disconnected, and there's a weird dynamic that happens because you're fighting kind of like depression and anxiety and all of these negative feelings that you're not supposed to feel because you should be grateful because everyone wants exactly what you have. And then you feel guilt and shame. So you're fighting all of those and, still trying to make yourself push forward. And this is where a lot of people find themselves at one point in their journey where they have it. It's not that they are, struggling to get to a certain point in their business. It's like they've already had a taste of success and they know the emptiness that can come with that. Right. And so a lot of people are facing burnout. And they're in this place where they're starting to feel resentment for their partner and money and success. And this is where I was in my 20s. And yeah, I was doing a career that I hated. So like there's some obvious like, Nichole, don't do software engineering because you hate that, right?
Right.
Nichole, you're not married to someone you trust. What are you doing? Right? So there were some obvious things, but on paper everything looked good, and so I was really confused. Like if I had it all and this is not making me happy, what do I do? And so we get to this point where we're either experiencing chronic pain or hormone issues, or we have a death in the family. And, I've experienced all of these things that call you back to what's really important. They call you back to yourself, the relationship with yourself. And it's weird that we always seem to lose this, right? It's not that we're selfish or greedy or not spiritual, but we just seem to get lost and we lose this relationship with ourselves, and we lose that relationship with money and with our partners, right? And it reflects in all three.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, as I reflect, as you were talking and thinking about where I was in my 20s and moving forward, I think that, originally we are very taught to look externally, right? As you grow up, you're supposed to do all of these different things. You're supposed to, and it's external, external, external. And we're not taught to look inside first. I had a really interesting conversation with a colleague of mine, and this is going to show a little bit of my privilege. I mean, I grew up in a family that, I always know I was going to go to college, right? And I know that that's not the case for everybody, but I was talking to a colleague who said to me, I don't think I'm going to send my kids to college because I just, I don't think it's a great experience. And I don't want to get us too far off track here, but her point was, it's another one of these external pieces that doesn't allow you to say, hey, how do I connect, know what I really want, and then create? And we create from an external, and then we need these huge cosmic 2x4s, right, to come in and say, yeah, no, you're not on the track. For me, it was bankruptcy. It was a total loss of everything. That was my call to stop, take a breath, and start to look at all the different relationships in my life. And did I like them? Did I not? What do I really want to create? And there was a very common thread that ran through those. So when you take a look at these different relationships, right? Relationship with your then husband, relationship with money, what did you see as that common theme that was showing you that you weren't exactly where you wanted to be?
I just knew I wasn't happy. It took me about 3 years to leave. My mom had died. She died at 47, and I was about 27 years old. And I was like, okay, something needs to shift because I can't keep living this life. Time is short. And it took me about 3 years to actually leave because I was really stuck. And it's weird to say because I had it all. I had options, but I didn't know if I didn't want this, what did I want? And so I was stuck with, okay, I got to push myself. I got to stay motivated. I got to keep going. So I would like get up earlier and earlier and push myself in my workouts. And like, I just kept going. And that just created so much inner turmoil, where I was in the bathroom at work or in my closet at home having anxiety and panic attacks. So you know that something's wrong, but when you have it all, you don't know how to fix that. And the anger and resentment.
Yeah, I mean, the myth is that you have it all. You're right. You can check all the boxes, but nobody says, "Hey, check the internal boxes first. Check the happiness box. Check the good mental health box." If you're experiencing anxiety and depression, it's not just that you're spoiled brat who doesn't know how to play with her toys, right? You're literally, your body is literally crying out saying, we need something different here, right? We need a new level of understanding. We need a new level of intimacy. And when I say that word intimacy, what I mean by that is a really deep sense of connection in whatever relationship that is. And I think that often our intimacy in the relationships that we with another physical human being often reflect the intimacy that we have with money. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when you talk about, we need to look at the inside first, I think it's really important to also like use what's happening on the outside and realize that that's a reflection of the inside, right? So if you're not happy with your career or your business, or your intimate relationship, then that's really a reflection of the inside of what's going on with you. So, and I've manifested my future husband, right? And before, when I was dating and I was trying to figure out relationship stuff, I always noticed that if I wasn't signing clients or if I got clients that ghosted me, that was reflected in my dating relationship. And I was just like, it was just amazing that these two kept showing me the same thing. And then I kept thinking, okay, now I know that my outside world is a reflection of my inside. So then I would keep tweaking what was on the inside. So we have to realize that our outside world is a mirror, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's one of the reasons why I maintain that money is such an amazing teacher. But there's so much hatred and that has been poured on the actual dollars, right? On money itself. And yet money has taught me more than anything, I think, on the planet. We can learn through relationship, we can learn through money, we can learn through health, sometimes through all three. I've certainly touched in different places there. But yeah, it is such the mirror that money is such a it's just right there. You can see what's in your bank account or not. You can know how you feel as it's coming in. And it also is this amazing reflection of our relationship with divinity. And that relationship is simply about, for me, with money, it's what am I willing to receive? How much am I willing to be open and allow to flow through me? Am I really open and available to flow unlimited amounts of love through my system, whether that manifests as dollar bills or whether that manifests as physical relationships that with my husband, with my children, with people in my community that are so love based, I have tears in my eyes, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And it's easier to direct our pain and anger toward money and blame money because, that's what people do. And it's easier to blame money than it is to blame ourselves or to blame, like our partner, someone that we love. And even though I ended up getting a divorce, I left thinking I still love this man. I don't blame him. But I didn't know what else to do. I had become this person that I hated. I loathed myself, and I knew that I had to leave, not because I was leaving him, but because I was leaving that version of myself, and I could not fully be me in that relationship. But also I left all the money. Like I walked away. I didn't want the house. And I just said, okay, I'm just done. And I decided to be homeless. Now, a lot of times we decide to be in this space with money that is and maybe it is homeless for some people, but a lot of times it's not. A lot of times it's just not having enough for what you want and what you need. A lot of times it's living this minimalistic life that we're taught is so healthy. A lot of times it's just this uncomfortable place with money. But whether we're choosing it consciously, like I did with being homeless, or we're choosing it unconsciously, like I just can't figure out how to get clients, we are choosing exactly where we are, even if it looks like we are doing all the things to build our business and we are frustrated and we're like, no, I really want this money. If we don't have what we want, we are choosing that situation.
So then what's in your opinion, what's the antidote there? What are the first questions we can start asking to be able to say, okay, so it's not exactly, I'm not where I want to be, even though I'm doing all the things. How do people start that process of figuring out how to move through there?
I would say that they need to figure out what they want to change in their life. So a lot of my clients come to me because they are not happy in their intimate relationships, or they're not happy with their business, right? So they're trying to fix that external problem, right? Like, oh, I need to sign more clients. I need to get my messaging on point, or I want to manifest my soulmate. Do try to fix that external problem, but find a coach that knows how to fix that external problem holistically, that can look at everything, your relationship with money, your relationship with yourself. And I would say one of the very important questions to ask yourself is, why don't I want money? Or why don't I want a relationship? Because if you don't have it, subconsciously, there is a block there. There's a reason why you don't have what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because the divine is always flowing. Money is always flowing. Those resources are there to be received. There's an unlimited supply for everyone, whether that's something we've been taught or not. And if there's something that isn't coming in, we have our hands up like this for some reason, right? Maybe, I know the dance that I do is the dance between time and money. Okay, so money starts flowing, clients start flowing, and I have to very actively talk to my inner being to say, you're okay. As that calendar gets nice and full, you're okay. You're okay. And then there becomes a question of, how can I shift that? And I'm always asking for things to come with a beautiful flow and ease and that kind of thing. And yet I still notice that's one of the dances that I do that kind of puts up that stop sign for money.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, we have that pattern that keeps popping up over and over again. The important thing to know is that even though you know your pattern, it doesn't mean you can remove that block. Right? So it's in removing that block that things really shift for people. And that's why when my clients come to me, they're making like 10K months and they have no time, money, energy. And we quickly get them to, let's say, 50K or 70K months within 30 days, because we shift them internally. Because we look at everything holistically. And that is so powerful, because there's no way they could have comprehended how to make that happen themselves.
Exactly. Right. Because there's a difference between knowing something consciously, right? Hey, I have this dance I do with time and money. And it's another thing to look at what's creating that, right? To know where that's rooted, to know, and to be able to come in and to do whatever is necessary to clean it out, move it, shift it, change it, whatever. Right.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, well, you know what? I think that's going to be. Let's pause here. What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, Nichole and I are each going to share a tool that we like using with our clients in this area of relationship or whatever it is that we want to share. Go ahead. We'll go ahead and take that quick break. You're listening to Soul Wisdom Abundance on Transformation Talk Radio. I'm your host, Jennifer Bloom, and we will be right back. Well, hello and welcome back. We're here on Soul Wisdom Abundance. I'm your host, Jennifer Bloom, and I'm here with my guest, Nichole Carlson. And we've been talking all things money, relationships, intimacy, you name it. We've been chatting about it. And we are going to transition now into the part of the show where we each share an exercise. But before we do that, Nichole, I would love for you to share with my listeners where they can learn more about you. And all your links and everything are going to be in the show notes as well. But what's the best way for somebody to learn more about what it is that you do or reach out to you?
Oh, absolutely. The best way is to reach out to me through Facebook. I have a Facebook group called Money, Mindset, and Manifestation for the 7-Figure Life. And it's all about, you guessed it, money, mindset, and like manifesting your soulmate, manifesting the life that you want, because it's really about having it all, not just the surface level stuff, but like the deeper stuff. So I would love to connect with all of you there, and you can ask me questions and get help on building your 7-figure life there.
Fantastic. All right. Very good. So yes, and I'm gonna encourage all of you to check out her group. Great information coming through there. All right, so make sure to go and check out Nichole's group on Facebook. You can see it in the show notes if you're having any trouble finding it. Okay. All right, so let's shift into sharing a couple of tools. And the tool that I am wanting to share is, with your permission, I identified one of your soul money relationship languages. And the reason why I love this tool so much is because it starts to give us information about how our soul prefers to be with money. And it's just one more, it's one more clue as to who we are at that really deep level and what lights us up. And so there's 3 different money languages that we carry to support us in our relationship. The one that I identified and the one that your soul said, hey, let's add this to the conversation, is the axiom of translation. And this is all about the energetic how for you, and energetically how it is that you support that creation of money and how your soul prefers to create money. All right. So this isn't the actual, doing, this is the being part. And for you, this language is called partner. So let me read you a little bit about what partner is all about, and then we'll talk about it on the other side. So this sacred partnership with money language gives you the skill of understanding that money is one aspect of the divine that you can co-create with. Your how of making money is to be the equal partner to money, which means being an equal partner of the divine. You know when to take action for money and when to allow money, in other words, the divine, to take the lead. So a couple of things that you would notice if you are really connected with this part of yourself: you are able to create an equal partnership with money. You know your role, which is to create your intention and remain open to receive. And you know money's role, which is to flow. And you're an expert in understanding the giving and receiving cycle. Now, if you happen to be disconnected from this part of you, things you're going to notice is not showing up to do your part in the relationship with money, needing money in order to feel worthy to be in relationship, needing money to show up in a specific way, discounting your importance and role in the partnership with money. So I'm curious how that resonates with you. Have you noticed that in your dealing with money across the decades?
Yeah, totally. It's the more connected I am with myself and with money, the more that it just seems to flow. And then the times that I've been angry with money, like obviously, yes, I'm not showing up and I'm actually refusing to allow that in. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think well, two things to say. The first is that when I share these tools with clients, the next step to this is to actually connect with this language. It's what's beautiful about this paradigm is that these aren't just archetypes. These are literally voices of soul that we can have conversations with. So if you happen to be in one of those times where you were feeling disconnected, you could connect in with partner and say, hey, what's going on here? Right? Help, what is it that I can either activate or release so that I can be more in partnership? And then the other piece I want to highlight here too is, you were speaking earlier about, blaming money, and not you specifically, but in general, right? We tend to blame money when money is just this energy, right? It's just this flowing energy that we are in equal partnership with. And that brings up all kinds of things for people. We say we're equals with money or we're equal with the divine. Um, so it's just one more place where we get to have some expansion opportunities, one more way where we get to, I see it as a garden, like you're weeding out the old blocks so that you can then allow what's truth, meaning I am in partnership with money to grow and shift and change. So
Absolutely. That's so beautiful.
yeah, wonderful. Okay, so I will, when the show is over, I will send you a full copy of that so you can take a look at it. And now I'd love to turn the floor over and let you introduce us to something that you like to work with.
Awesome. Okay, so I have created this healing video, which I think that I gave you that you're going to put in the show notes.
Mhm.
And that healing video is a video that I created with 4 exercises when I was going through chronic pain in 2018, 2019. I created 4 exercises to help me heal my emotional trauma around relationships, and around my relationship with money, and to actually heal myself physically. And then I ended up healing myself physically in one day in 2019. And then I ended up manifesting my soulmate about a month after that. So this healing video, these healing exercises are super powerful. So when you ask yourself, why don't I want money? There's probably a lot of things that come up for you. So it can be, anger with somebody else, anger with money, anger with yourself. So what we want to do is we want to take one of those instances and one person or thing that you're angry at, and it can be yourself for not showing up, or it can be money. But when you have that idea in your head, give it a persona, a like body, and it can be your past self, it can be your father or whatever. And I want you to have it sit in front of you, and I want you to put your right hand out, and it's going to put its right hand out on your heart, and you just put your left hand on its hand, and then you breathe in healing and send out. So send out with your stretched out hand, send out healing and love, and breathe in healing through your heart, and feel your heart open and expand, and breathe out love through your right hand. And I want you to use the words that actually make sense for you. So maybe it's not healing, maybe it's not love, maybe it's inner peace, maybe it's forgiveness. But I want you to work through words until you find a release in your body.
Okay.
And you can do this daily. You can do this with your past self as a child. And I tell people to go through and use yourself at different points in your past. Use, your dad, where he didn't show up for you, or use money. But keep cycling through until you feel releases in your body, and drink lots of water and make sure that you're sleeping. Don't do too much at once, because this is a very powerful technique that will allow you to open up to deeper intimacy with yourself, with your partner, or with your future partner if you're not with somebody, and with money. So really work through these things one at a time, because there's going to be certain things that come up for you today that you didn't see them a week ago, and there's going to be things that come up for you in a week that you didn't see today. So just be patient with yourself and use whatever persona that comes up for you. Right. So you can use this in a lot of different ways, and my video will tell you more about that, but it's super powerful and super healing, and it will move you to the next step.
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing that came up for me was a version of me. And I can, and I had this persona of I can be really driven, really, really driven. And that doesn't always serve me, or it doesn't serve people around me. I've done a lot of work there, right? To maintain a level of action, but not, driven. And so I had absolutely had a persona, and the word that came to me to use was forgiveness, right? Part of me that wasn't integrated yet, part of me that was operating out of, kind of sort of this unconscious pattern, that looked to the world like it was a really good part, right? Because driven people get things done. Driven people are really good to have working for somebody else, because you do things and right? The accomplishments pile up, and yet it was burning up my adrenals, right? So, but I can also see how, as I could feel that forgiveness coming in, and I could see her easing, there was like the next two steps came up in my head of like, okay, this relationship, or this person in this relationship, or this aspect of the past, right? So again, as much of this stuff as we do, there's always another new level to get to, right? A new level of ease, a new level of fun, a new zero on the end of the flow.
Absolutely.
So yeah. Wonderful. So as people are, so for me, that came up pretty quickly, it was instantaneous who I wanted to have sit in that chair across from me. Is that a typical experience, would you say? If people are concerned about knowing the right person or thing to heal, does it tend to come up pretty easily for most people?
Something comes up pretty easily, because if they're, listening to your podcast, or if they're in self-help, they're looking for that thing. So something is going to come up. It's not necessarily going to be the thing that will shift everything for you, but something's going to come up, and it's going to be whoever you pick, it's going to be the right one for today. It's going to be the right one for where you're at. So don't second guess yourself. Just trust that whatever you choose is the right thing, and that is the thing you need to work through today to get to, the next step.
Yeah, I think that, and I can raise my hand for this. You're seeing my history with time and all of that, but I think that we tend to, because we're in pain. Let me start there. Because when we're looking to shift things, we tend to be in pain. We want the answer now, right? We want the quantum leap. We want the answer to be now. And I think we do ourselves a disservice, though, because most of the time, healing comes incrementally. That doesn't mean it has to be slow. Doesn't mean that it has to take you years, right? We're not talking that. But if we give ourselves permission to just do the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing, we are going to, it's infinitely faster than focusing on, I have to have this, or something bad is going to happen, or I can't handle anymore, I have to have this now. If you give yourself permission to be in the moment, allow that, whatever the sensation is of what you're feeling, and then taking those next steps, you're going to find that things are going to happen a whole lot faster than requiring, right? That quantum leap. Would you say that that you've experienced that too?
Absolutely. And there's two parts. There's one where we get lost in the self-help journey because that's rewarded too, right? And if you've been there and you've been in the self-help journey, you know that there's a little bit of resistance to getting to that quantum leap. But if you've been doing the work internally, externally, you can choose to flip that switch and get to that quantum leap, like I did when healing myself, and I did when manifesting my future husband, right? So when that happens, you've already done the work, right? It doesn't have to take 7 years. And a lot of us get lost in that journey. But you can get what you want today, now, instantaneously, and still be doing this, the personal development work. That's never going to go away.
Right. There's always, again, we're always expanding. We're never, ever finished. My favorite thing to say is that if we were ever finished, we would evaporate off the planet because there's nothing left for us here. So as long as we're here, we're expanding, we're growing, we're shifting, we're changing, we're adding to things. And that doesn't mean we have to stay mired in what the original issue was. And I think that, for me, one of the really big components of that is recognizing there's nothing wrong with you. That was another one of my big taglines. Well, there has to be something wrong with me. The laws of the universe, you don't apply to me, right? That was something to be able to say, stop, take a breath. That's inaccurate. And you're whole and complete right now, as you are, whatever the external circumstances look like. And then when we get to that point, it becomes a lot easier, right? To be able to be in that space to allow the healing to happen.
Absolutely.
So, Nichole, if there was one thing that you would like to share with the listeners about finding that sweet spot, because it feels like a sweet spot to me as you're describing it, right? Of being in that space of feeling really good and creating that next level of abundance. What's that one thing that you would want to share with people?
It's about staying connected to your soul and deepening that relationship with yourself. So look at the outside things, and make sure that you're always checking, like, is this really what I want? Is this making me happy? Am I doing this in a way that makes me happy? And knowing that there is always a better way, always a faster way, or a better way, or a way that's more connected to your soul. And you won't necessarily see that, but trust that if your soul is telling you to shift and to look and to do something different, then you've got to move in that direction.
Yeah. And what would you say to the fear that comes up? Right. So, you made a bold choice to leave a marriage where you were still in love with the man, right? But not in love with you. So what would you say about the fear that can come up when that happens, when you make that choice? Actually, it's before you make the choice, because once you make the choice, then you're moving ahead and doing it, right? But what about that fear that maybe comes up before you're in that space of saying, that's it, I'm moving on to something else?
Get some support. get some support, because it can really put you in a bad place emotionally, with depression, anxiety, and take you to even darker places. But get some support with wherever you're at, especially if it looks like you have it all and there's no place to go, because that can be a really dark place for a lot of people.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that there are certainly emotions, when we're swimming in a space of, David Hawkins says, look, with his power versus force and all the different emotional levels and emotional states, when we're in those lower level states, especially if we're feeling guilty, especially if we're feeling shame, we cannot get ourselves out of those. That requires outside assistance to be able to help us move through those, so that we can end up with enough of that energy, enough of that power, so to speak, that we are able then to stand on our own. Right. So absolutely. I think that's, I would absolutely echo that. Absolutely. Okay. Well, Nichole, thank you so much for today. I really appreciate the wisdom that you shared, for sharing your story, and providing the exercise. And again, that's a small part of this healing video that Nichole has available. So please check it out in the show notes, and you'll have the opportunity to use that on a regular basis. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Okay, so again, thank you all for tuning into Soul Wisdom Abundance. It's been a joy to spend this time with all of you. I am Jennifer Bloom, and I help people reawaken and heal their soul money relationship. I would also love to hear what you're thinking about the show. So please come to me, and at the easiest way to reach out is send me a message through Instagram. I'm at soul.abundance. Would love to hear what you're thinking, and what other topics you'd like to hear more about. So we are here the first and third Fridays of every month. And until we meet again, everyone, I wish you prosperous blessings. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Soul Wisdom Abundance with Jennifer Bloom, creating wealth from spiritual health on transformationtalkradio.com. To learn more about Jennifer Bloom or listen to past shows, visit jenniferbloom.com. You can subscribe to this podcast on any of your favorite podcasting outlets. Simply search Soul Wisdom Abundance with Jennifer Bloom.